My last dashcam videos I went over the top of the line ThinkWare and Blackview cameras. I'll link to that in the upper right. From the comments, you guys said I should get a more affordable HD dual camera option, and many others recommended Viofo. I've partnered with BlackboxMyCar.com before, and this time they've hooked me up with the Viofo A129 Plus Duo. This one is the non-eMMC version. In English, it comes without 16 gigabytes of onboard memory, further dropping the cost for this camera with an MSRP of around $179. It is a BlackboxMyCar.com exclusive, and pre-orders will launch September 1st, 2020. I'll have affiliate links to the camera below. If you feel like buying a dash cam and helping out the channel, be sure to use those links and any discounts I may throw down there as well. I just received the camera, so in this video I'm going to go over my initial thoughts, how easy it was to install, and of course show off some camera footage. Let's get right into it with the front cam. On this side, you've got the rear cam USB mini port, an AV port for connecting to your TV, cables sold separately, and the USB port, which can be used to power the cam or connect the cam to your PC when it's undocked. On the other side, we have the micro SD slot. It's cool to see that they've incorporated a 2-inch LCD display, which you don't see on a lot of these newer cameras, especially ones like this that have app connectivity. You can watch the footage, adjust a ton of settings right on the camera itself. And under the display, we got some of those nice, loud, clicky buttons. You know, the ones that always ruin the footage when people rush to button mash and lock footage when they see some road rage. The lens on the camera is adjustable in the up and down direction, but not right to left. It's not a big deal if you center the camera. Just keep this in mind when mounting. The rear also has that same type of adjustable lens. Before I take it out to the car, I always like to test any device and of course install the latest firmware. If you need help with that, just drop a comment below. Maybe I'll put together a video on how to install the firmware. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can connect to this camera over Wi-Fi with their app, and there are tons of settings in this app, from quality to camera behavior. And this camera has a GPS, so it's really awesome to see that you can include or hide both the speed and location data from the video. Installing the camera was easy. It took about an hour, and most of that time was spent trying to shove that USB cable through the hatch boot. I ran the camera's main power wire completely hidden. I ran it down the A-pillar, tucked it under the trim, all the way over to the power port. The rear camera, that wiring I ran up in the roof liner, and I used the included trim tool to neatly tuck everything away. Now for wagons, vans, and SUVs with a lift gate, we have the added bonus of running the line through this rubber wire boot. And you take the cable, shove it through there. It takes a little while, but it eventually gets you to the back window. If you guys are interested, I can post a more full-length video on this. Just drop a comment below if you feel like you need more help. Mounting the cameras were pretty easy as well. I removed my rear view mirror so you guys can see. With most cams, the best position is in the center of the windshield whenever possible. Just make sure with like the newer cars that you're not blocking any of the sensors that are usually stuck to the back of the mirrors. Using the 2-inch LCD or the app connected to your phone, make sure you find the perfect spot and alignment, then clean the area with alcohol and stick the camera down. Again, using the app to ensure perfect alignment before you make that bond to the windshield. Alright, let's start out with the front camera. This front camera is a 2K camera. It's very nice. It's got some good quality picture. It's sharp enough that you can read the license plates of the cars coming at you if you pause it. Don't forget though, the video you're watching is YouTube crunched. We got 2K, it's crunched down to 1080p, and then of course YouTube compresses it. So it's not exactly the quality that comes directly from the camera. I'm going to leave it up for a few seconds, give you some audio, let you hear what's going on. I'm driving around with the windows open. Alright, now here's the rear camera, same time of day. We're at 1080p on the rear camera. And again, don't forget, YouTube crunches it a little bit so it doesn't look exactly as good as it came out of the camera. But again, I'm very pleased with the daytime footage from this camera. Alright, here's some footage taken well after dusk. It is too dark to drive without headlights. And I did mute the audio on this one because my wife and I were having a private conversation. But again, decent footage. You're starting to notice the grain coming in. And then when we flip over to the rear camera, you'll also notice it is a little bit darker. And I'm not sure if that's the sensor or the heavily tinted rear windows of the Magnum. But again, enjoy the footage. And we'll switch to night in a second. Alright, and here is the nighttime footage. I'll leave the audio on for your enjoyment. And here we'll flip to that rear cam. And again, I'm not sure if it's the sensor that's darker or it's my heavily tinted rear windows that kind of makes that difference between the front cam and the rear cam footage. Both recorded at the exact same time.
So let's test out the audio. So this is me driving with all 4 windows open, about 35 miles an hour. And of course this is me stopped. I'm hoping the audio quality is pretty clear. I guess we'll find out when we do some playback.
So like I said earlier, I've only had this camera for a couple days, and what I wanted to do is share my first opinion with you before this camera released. Give you guys some insight into what to expect from it, and as I get to know it, learn to tweak the settings and play with it a little bit more, obviously I'll give you a more in-depth review. But for now, that's all I got for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I want to send a shout out and a thank you to BlackboxMyCar.com for sending me this camera ahead of release. If you guys are interested in buying any cameras, please check out the links in this video description. Those are my affiliate links. So if you go and search for a camera, an inexpensive 1080p camera, BlackboxMyCar.com has tons of info. For me, I highly recommend you have a dash camera. Get one within your budget. Even the cheapest 1080p dash camera will save you from having to argue the details of an accident. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please gently press that like button. If you're stopping by for the first time, please consider subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching.